Charlie Keating is the guy, of course, went to jail for the Keating 5 scandal. John McCain is one of the 5 senators that were involved in that scandal. This was back in the 1980s. John McCain's written about this in his books, and he's quite honest about it. This is how John McCain got his original Maverick title, by being so straightforward sometimes in his assessment of his own personal faults. And you had to give him credit for that back in the day. Now, of course, he's desperately trying to avoid those topics for understandable reasons, but he wrote about it in his book. He wrote, quote, Charlie Keating, his family and associates donated over $100,000 for my first campaign, and for each of the 2 that followed. That was a hell of a lot of money in those days. Supporters like Charlie were not easy to come by for a first-time candidate, and I made damn sure that he knew how much I appreciated his support. More important, I became friends with Charlie, his family, and many of the top executives and employees of his company. All right? That was in page 59 of his book, Worth the Fighting For. So he says, look, this guy gave me $100,000. You know, got a lot of money back then, and he did it for all of my beginning campaigns, which were even harder, because I had not had an established name at this point. So I owed this guy. But he goes on to explain how he partied with Charles Keating and how much he enjoyed it, too. He's got to pay back this favor somehow, right? All right, so let's listen to that. He said, quote, he was as close to an archetype of high-flying 80s chief executive as anyone I had encountered. And he was a hell of a lot of fun to be around. On several occasions, he invited Cindy and me to his beautiful vacation retreat at Cat Cay in the Bahamas, flying us there with our infant daughter, Megan, and her nanny on his private jet. He entertained us lavishly, as was his style. We would all crowd around on his yacht, off for a day of swimming and snorkeling, and then return for another extravagant party with the best wine, food, and entertainment available. I'd be lying if I were to deny just how eagerly I awaited invitations to Charlie Keating's Shangri-La. Charlie Keating's Shangri-La, page 60 of Worth the Fighting For, John McCain's book. Okay. Then, Charles Keating wanted his money back. He didn't want his money back as in, hey, John McCain, give me the money that I spent on you. He said, no, he wanted it in spades. And the way he was going to do that is he was going to get Congress and the government to deregulate him, take those restrictions off, make more money, take more risks. That wound up coming back to bite him. Once they asked Charles Keating, hey, do you expect return on your money from these senators that you've been giving all this money to? He said, hell yeah. What do you think I've been giving him the money for? At least he was very honest. Got to give John McCain and Charles Keating credit for being honest there. And what did John McCain do? He went and had meetings with regulators, and he said, hey, look, you know, this is a constituent from Arizona, and this man is looking to speed things up here in this process, and I think that you better get to it. Now, to McCain's credit, later, when Keating asked him to do more and to put, you know, overt pressure to get what he wanted done, McCain, unlike some of the other senators, stepped back from it. Fair is fair. And that's part of the reason that they found him not guilty overall, right? Now, having said that, he did have those original meetings and later admitted, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, you want to talk about appearance of impropriety. Here's a senator sitting down with a regulator, pressuring him to do deregulation. And why do you think we did it? Of course we did it, because Charles Keating was giving us money and inviting us to his Shangri-La with a yacht and everything. So, now here's the thing. Am I willing to get past that? Yeah, he's been in the Senate for a long time now, several decades, and he did some reform, etc. But the problem is he never learned any of the lessons. He didn't learn if he had learned the lesson right there, hey, you know what, deregulation is not the way to go. Doing favors for people who give you money when you're a senator is not the way to go. Then I'd say okay. But he didn't learn any of those lessons. For the next 26 years, or the whole 26 years he was in the Congress and Senate, he continued to deregulate and continued to do one favor after another, which we've explained ad nauseum on the show for all of his contributors. So John McCain, you didn't learn anything from it.